Guys, because I can't be there in person, I decided to try recording our first PowerPoint for the new unit, and so that the casual teacher that's helping me out by taking the class can show you it instead. So we're moving on to our second unit out of 3 for Year 11, and it's all about management. So if you've got a job, this might be a good unit for you because you've probably experienced what it's like to have a manager. You might not have been a manager yet, but you'll definitely have an opinion of whether or not you think your job's manager that you currently have is actually any good or is horrible, and you'll have reasons why you think this. So we're going to look a lot about what is management and all of that kind of stuff, but I thought we'd look at today 4 main things that, again, they come up quite a lot throughout the course, and they are the functions of management, which we often refer to just as Polc, P-O-L-C, so Polc. So today's video is going to be on Polc. Alright, I'm going to put this into slideshow mode so it's a bit bigger on the screen. Alright, so when you hear functions of management or Polc interchangeably, they are the same thing. It's really quite easy, but basically we say that a manager or management has to use these functions across the board to achieve any of their objectives. And the 4 functions are planning, organising, leading, and controlling. And I just want to give you a couple of moments for you to get your books out and put a heading into your books about the functions of management and just write down Polc, planning, organising, leading, and controlling. Hopefully this won't take you too long. So a heading at the top of your book, you want nature of management, functions of management, and then you want to write planning, organising, leading, and controlling. Okay, well, we'll move on to each slide now, and if you haven't written all those 4 words in, you can catch up. So the first function of management is planning, which the definition is the process of deciding where a team, department, or whole organisation should be heading and how it needs to get there. So we have 3 main types of planning. We have strategic plans, tactical plans, and operational plans. Obviously, you would know probably already that there's different types of managers. You've got managers that are very much on the front line. Think maybe you work at, say, Hungry Jack's or Macca's, and you've got a supervisor or a manager that's on shift with you. That's very much someone that's on the job, and even though they're a manager, their jobs are very much about the day-to-day operation of the business. So they're going to probably be looking more at operational plans. But as we get up the hierarchy of a business, we go up the ladder of the people that are in charge, and we get to the guy or the girl sitting at the top of the business, the big boss. They're not really worrying about the everyday stuff that's happening in a business. They're looking at the bigger picture. They're doing the really forward planning kind of stuff. So they're looking at what we call strategic. They're really thinking, what are we going to be doing in 6 months? What are we going to be doing in 12 months? Where do we want to be in 5 years? And all of that kind of thing. So they aren't really looking at the day-to-day operational planning. They're looking at strategic plans. So as you can see, depending on what actual management position you have, your planning can be different, but essentially everyone is going to be doing some sort of planning. Under planning, we also establish goals and we allocate our resources. So how many staff do we need? What other things do we need to actually get that planning and those things going? All right. Organising. So organising is the process of defining the relationships among staff and tasks so that all of our resources are working towards getting the objectives completed. So this is where we have organisational structure. So if you've ever seen a diagram before where they have a picture of the CEO at the top and they have the little chains, or think maybe like if you've ever done a family tree before, you know, you've got mum and dad at the top and then the little branches come down and the children and then their children, and it keeps going down. It's a bit like that for an organisational chart. when we do that organizational chart, we then also think about, well, what staff need to do what? So we've got the CEO, what will he be doing? Then we have a manager, what will they be doing? What will the person on the front desk be doing? What will the person be that's cooking? What do they have to do? Okay. We also, in that sense, look at, well, who has what authority? So each job, maybe only a supervisor can give a refund. So someone on the front desk has to actually get a supervisor to get a refund for a customer. And it also just establishes, where do we actually communicate to? Okay, so we're organising all our staff and all our resources so that they are all good to go, so they're actually helping us achieve our business goals rather than making it difficult for us. Leading. So leading is the process of influencing staff to do what an organisation, the department or the team wants done. Again, we might be looking at the bigger picture, the whole business. We might just be looking at, say, the front office department, or if we're looking at the school, it might be the maths department, the science department, okay? Or an individual team. So within that department, we might have a tinier, smaller team that needs something done. So management wants to try and secure the commitment of the staff to the business. You might have heard the saying before, are you born a leader or made a leader? So often they argue you can be a good leader and you're not necessarily a manager, and then you've got other managers that they get given their position of authority, so they get told they're the man, they get the job, they're a manager. But some people, that's just a power given to them by their position. So some people argue that some managers actually aren't very good at leading as such, because they just don't have the personality or the skills to actually lead and motivate people. So it's an interesting topic that we'd definitely be looking at in more detail later. But basically, if you can lead someone, you can influence your staff, if you're a manager, to kind of, I guess, do what you want them to do. Controlling. This is where we've got systems in place, we know what we want to be happening, and now we're making sure that it actually is happening. So we put into place our plans, and then we monitor what's actually happening. What are we doing well? What are some things that actually aren't happening? And maybe we look at why they're not happening. So a lot of businesses will set up some standards. So they'll have goals. They might have some figures, like we need to reach $10,000 in the month in sales, on all those kinds of things. We need to get, maybe they have customer feedback surveys and they say we need to get 10 out of 10 every time, or something like that. And what they do then is they look, well, did we get $10,000 worth of sales this month? And then you can kind of easily say yes or no, and then you know whether you've met the standard. And then obviously if we don't meet the standard, no, we only made $8,000, well, why? And that might be, look, we had a really bad month, there was bad weather, so people didn't come to our business, or we had more expenses than we thought we would, or maybe we realize our staff don't actually really know the product and aren't selling it very well. So whatever we find, we then try and take corrective action. So we try and think, okay, well, we found that we were short on our sales goal because the people didn't really know what they were selling. So now, to put that in place, we're going to set up some more training for them to learn how to sell that thing. We've got things called KPIs. So KPIs are key performance indicators. And basically, they're like little mini goals. And they say if you're doing your job right, you'll be meeting your KPI. So a KPI might be like an individual selling goal. It might anything. It just depends on your job. If you were to put some KPIs in place as a student, like at the end of the term or the end of the semester, you'd be able to look and say, well, did I meet the KPIs that I'd put in place for myself? So that's really Polc in a nutshell. We keep coming back to these all through this course, so we really need to understand what planning, organising, leading and controlling are. There's some information about it in your textbook, so I'd really like you to have a read of your textbook. Make sure you've got some definitions down for each one of these, and I'll leave you in the capable hands of the other teacher. Bye!